And we're back. So it's extra cold today, -19. So the heater's probably gonna run all the time today. I don't have much on the list for what I'm hoping is going to get done in this video right now, just because I have my main things and then I have a whole bunch of stuff on my phone that needs to get done, but I'm not sure order of operations, contingent on shipping, and then just also where I'm gonna get really overwhelmed and want to walk away from it and walk to something else. But you know, like, I've got the fuel cell that's going to get mounted. I still got to run all the lines and everything, so that would like to be on this video if they come in time. Distributors ordered, and then, you know, like, start figuring out my wiring between the two, the battery relocate, my radiator, that kind of stuff. Shift linkage is something I'm still battling because it's not a bar linkage, it's these cables, and I'm gonna run ideally the Prelude shifter, so I would like exactly like this, but just longer. If anyone has any ideas on who can make those, that would really help. But you know, just little stuff like that that's probably gonna have to get thrown in there here and there. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is start with that clutch pedal, or not the pedal. I've decided I can use the XB pedal. I just need to run a clutch line from the front back to here. So I'm going to make that line, and then after I do that, I should be done up against the firewall with everything. At that point, I feel comfortable putting in my fuel cell, because I won't have to fight with stuff being in the way. So I'm gonna start there, then probably get the fuel cell done, and then I might move back to grafting that rear where we kind of left off on the last video there. The clutch line is ran. I just went through there. I did end up going just up through the hole where the shift cables had ran, right there. And then ran parallel to the rear e-brake line and back to there. I still got to bleed it out, and then I'll be able to test and see if it works. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get the fuel cell worked on. I had on the board its fuel cell structure and wiped it off. I thought I already did that. So what I'm going to do is I've got the 1x3. It's going to go vertically in between the rails there, straight across on both sides, and then I'll just weld bolts going straight up onto that, so then you can just bolt it down. Honestly, I'll probably weld some U-bolts upside down and run like a ratchet strap over the top on both of them, just to be double secure. I mean, I don't really like that. I don't know. Aluminum kind of scares me, so just running 4 points and having it slosh around there, just, it might not look the best with ratchet straps over top, but it's just extra. It's not what's actually holding it. So I'll do that. I'm gonna have to notch out, because this, I can't hold this up one-handed. This is gonna sit going across here, which is gonna hit this. So it'll get notched out and then go across, but it'll still have that much in the front there, so I'm not worried at all. But that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to set that up, get that notched, and then put it in the car, get some things figured out, and see if we can't get this part wrapped up. So the fuel cell is now in. Structure's all welded in there. One thing that I hadn't really thought about you might have seen struggling there, is it fits real nice in there with all this in there. Not once those bars were welded in. So in order to take the fuel cell back out, you have to take off this crossbar, which is only these 4 bolts, 2 on that side. And then once you take this centerpiece off there, that comes off and you can lift the cell up and come straight off the front. So hopefully you'll never need to do that. Not that it's unbearable, but I mean, I don't know, if you needed to get back behind it for brake lines or whatever, there's really not a big reason that you should. But if you did, you have to take the front bumper off the grill and that stuff. So again, not unbearable. There's that. Bled the clutch. I think that's going to work. The hard part is like, I don't have shift linkage or anything right now, so I don't really know. I guess I could put it in first and try and roll it, but we'll figure that out later. So what I'm on to now on the board was the grafting the rear. So kind of picking up where I'd left off in the last video. This is marked out for where this, I don't know, headache rack hits. So I've got to cut this out for there, and then I don't really know how far down, but I was looking, and this is where the hinges for the lift part of it, or the gate part of it, bolt to, and I'm assuming I'm going to have to go at least that far down. So what I'm going to do is weld some of these back parts here to solidify this as one piece. I did a little bit on, oh shoot, it's underneath here. But I want to do some more on the inside. That way, once I cut those hinges, I know it's not going to flop, move, or even worse, break. So I'm going to weld those. Then I'm going to cut that out, and I'm going to test fit. And once I do all that and actually get it to fit up there, I will go from there because I'll have a lot better idea on what I'm doing. All right, so the back is roughly grafted on. So basically it's got a weld, tack weld in each corner, one up top, or sorry, 2 up top, and then 2 down below connecting to the bed rails. So, you know, we're attached down here, we're attached up here. What I'll end up doing is just go along here, because I mean it doesn't line up perfect right now. So I'll go along, get it to line up, and then weld and go all the way down. I'm not going to weld this solid, especially because there's, you know, a little bit of gap there. But what I'll do is I'll get it pretty well tacked, you know, with crap like this. Same with this. This goes into the car right now, so oh, that's a shorter screwdriver. Yeah, see, there it goes. So this has to get filled, otherwise all of my water will run into the cab. So what I'll do is get those welds, and then I'll go over the whole thing with a piece of metal and weld, and then do the same thing to kind of cover it. This will get welded solid there, and then this will still act as a regular drain. This part, the channel obviously doesn't line up, so this gets welded over and filled. The channel will stop here, welded, and then this part gets a piece of steel that'll kind of come over and flush down with that, and all this gets covered up. Yeah, so that's a much later date thing. So right now I'm really itching to get the tailgate top of that going. But in order to do that, I need to get these corners fixed. So you can see how much it doesn't line up there. So what I do is pie cut here. So that bends over. That'll fix this overlap issue. And then a bunch of pie cuts there. So I can push this in and match the contour of the XB to the Dakota rail. Yeah, it's really not that difficult. Just whatever you get too big of gaps, you know, for welding and everything, just get it solid and then fill with our kitty hair Duraglass and then a light thing of filler. But I'm gonna get cracking at that and should have these two buttoned up pretty quick, and then maybe next I'll be able to do that. All right, so I've got this, you know, sectioned out there. Got the pie cut made on that, so it lines up now flush with this body line. So basically what I'll do is throw some more weld in there, grind it smooth, and then when I come through with my glaze, it'll fill this out. You know, also I'll probably end up grinding more of that to make less of a gap to bridge there. But you run it right down to that and then fill it in with that, and you'll never be able to tell the difference. One other thing that makes me a little bit leery of doing too much with bodywork is still figuring out this wide body thing. I think it's pretty inevitable. It's got to happen because we've got tire poke on stock wheels, and I'm going to go much wider. I think stock these are 6, and the ones I'm looking at are 8.5. Yeah, so there's one wide body kit they make for this, and it's ugly. It's so stupid. It looks like they just took a piece of pink styrofoam insulation and glued it to the side. Like, it's dumb. So I want to do something else that will stick out quite a bit, and like I said, give me some functional air dam there. But not knowing exactly where it's going to run, you know, if it comes off of here, then that'll change how much body work is going to go into that. So I think the extent of body work is basically going to be getting all these tack welds in, getting, you know, these filler pieces done and whatnot. But as far as running our kitty hair Duraglass and filler, that's going to be quite a bit down the road, I think. But yeah, I don't know. I'm happy with this. Keeping in mind, you know, these are Dodge Dakota bed rails mated to a toaster that's been cut into a pickup. So I mean, I think it's getting there, looking pretty cool. All right, so I probably should have clarified. I've never done a wide body before, like even a kit, let alone a DIY. So forgive me if I'm doing stuff wrong, or you know, if you guys have any better ways of doing it, let me know. But basically, what I did there is cut it out. I put my relief cuts in, same as those bed rails, if you saw that video. And then I just bent everything up. And then what I'll do, zoom out a little bit, is I'll end up pushing these up and weld. And I'll go along the whole thing and do that. And then I'll cut off this excess. And then I'll, you know, finish out my inner wheel wells, which I've got to figure something out for. So I'm not quite sure that I'll go through and weld these until I know what's happening with my inner wheel well. I might weld them. I'll probably weld them and then weld all this top stuff and go over it with a seam sealer, like body sealer, that you get from the body supply store there, where I get like all my paint and stuff. And then, you know, build my wide body around it. This is a little bit reverse engineered. Usually you've got your wide body, you put it on, you trace your stuff out and figure out from there, but I don't have a wide body. So I'm gonna do it this way. I'm gonna take my excess stuff that I cut off, take it to the other side so I can trace it and get the same cut there. I mean, it's not like it's super detrimental because this should be underneath the wide body and not seen, but I don't know, gives me a rough idea. But I think I'm just gonna throw tacks on now, put the wheel back on, drop it back down, and see how that fits before I go through all the crazy work of cutting, welding, and whatnot. But there you have it so far. Let's keep going. All right, so there it is, dropped down, all tack welded up and everything. I trimmed a little bit off that bumper. I would normally like to follow this line down a little bit better there, but this is right where the bumper mounts, right there. So I'd like to keep that there. And like I showed before, I can't do it because I got the camera in my hand. You can, I mean, really bounce on this thing, and it's not moving up and down. So I'm really not concerned with that. I guess once the new wheels and tires come, I'll get a better idea. If they do look like they're going to be an issue, I'll figure out a different way to mount that. But there you go. All right, so the top, I've got that filler plate running across, tacked in. Got some really ugly welds because there was a big gap on both of that for the hatch. So that'll get ground down smooth so I can get a light thing of filler. That way no water can drain in. This is still an open channel technically, but when it's all finished out there, I'm not going to be worried about it. The next thing that I kind of wanted to tackle here is this. So my thoughts here are similar to what was done back there with getting some relief cuts in here and tapering that in, and then bringing a piece that's going to kind of bridge that gap through there. That way it's not just like a hard flop down. It'll actually kind of taper into it. And then once that's done, there's a piece that'll run from here all the way down, and it'll run to this, not up there because that piece will be there. It'll run to there, and that'll also do the same thing where it's going to kind of just slowly make that contour, and then those two will get bridged together, and it'll all look smooth and uniform. Do it on this side, do it on that side, and then that'll be done as well. But let's get cracking. right, so it looks a little primitive, but here's the current patch. Basically, it just tapers in and has that contour. I leave this channel open. I'll have to fill in this back part again so it doesn't channel into the car, but I kept all this so I can just cut to length and put my old one back in. This stuff will just get feathered forward. This will get feathered around this corner, and then I'll make my next piece that'll go all the way down there, and it'll do essentially the same thing and just get worked in. But just to give you a little of an idea, that's what that looks like. And that's the before, you know. So I mean, for how much it stuck out before, I think it turned out pretty good. And like I said, it's still got all of its filler phase and everything else to go through, but this is very similar to what I did on the last one, and the last one turned out pretty good. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Not today because it's getting late and I got to go home. But that'll do for that part. I'll finish up the other one another day. I got to go get more steel so I can do this portion on both sides. And then I've got my rocker cut out down there, so I need to get some steel so I can also do that. The whole reason I'm doing a lot of this body work right now is because I'm still waiting for shipping on so much of the other stuff. So once that stuff comes, I'll get back to this. But until then, gonna keep cracking at some of this body work stuff. Those, and then I'd like to do that tailgate as well. But there you have it, and I'll be back another day.